Everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more coding tutorials. We are on day 11 of our 30-day pattern challenge, and today's pattern is all about printing a right angle triangle aligned to the right where each row is filled with its row number. So let's proceed with the challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. So if we see here in the VS Code, our question is already mentioned that we have to write a JavaScript function to print the following pattern. And this is the pattern which we are supposed to get, okay? Now what we will do, first of all, we will come down and we are going to break down our question. So we will take this, our JavaScript function, and we are going to put it over here. After that, what is the next important line? That we have to print what? The following pattern, okay? So I will just write here what? Print pattern. And what is this pattern all about? This pattern is all about printing an right angle triangle, okay? So that is what I will just write it over here, and we have to make sure it is aligned towards its right, okay? So that also I'm going to write it over here, and here we have to make sure it is filled with its row numbers, okay? So that is what we have written it over here. Now let us come here at our line number 7 and we will define here our function name as well, okay? So we will keep here our function name as what? Print pattern, okay? And with a parenthesis. So this will be our function name. Now we will come down and we are going to write our approach for this particular question. So let me write here what? Our approach, okay? Now first of all, what we are going to do? We are going to create an str variable, okay? So I will just write it over here, create an str variable. Now we know why we are creating this, right? Because we have been following this from the last 10 videos, right? So we are going to create this str variable to hold our final output, okay? So that is what I am writing it over here. To hold our final output, we are going to create this str variable. After that, what we are going to do? We are going to declare it here and we are going to initialize it with an empty string, okay? So here we are going to use what? Our nested loops, okay? So I will just write it here what? Nested loop. Now what is a nested loop? Loop inside and loop is called as what? Nested loop, okay? So in this question, we will be using only two loops. That will be what? One will be our outer loop and another will be what? Our inner loop. Now our outer loop is going to do what? It is going to control our rows, okay? So I will just write here what? Control n number of rows, okay? So how many rows we have? All that rows, it is going to be controlled by our outer loop. And here I will write what? Control our n number of columns. So our outer loop is going to control our rows and our inner loop is going to control what? Our columns, okay? So that is what I am writing it over here. Now we will assume that our outer loop is what? It is our I loop, okay? And our inner loop will be what? It will be our J loop. So that is what we have assumed now. Now, after this, what we are going to do? We are going to analyze that how many rows we have and how many columns we have. That we are supposed to know, right? So we will go towards our pattern and we will just take this pattern and we are just going to put it down, okay? So we will just put it over here. Now, from this, we are going to understand how many rows we have and how many columns we have. So this is our first row. So I will just write here what? 1, okay? Now this is our second row. So I will just write here what? 2. This is our third row. That is what I'm going to write here 3. And this will be our fourth row, okay? So we have in total 4 rows. And who is going to control? It is to be controlled by our I loop. So let us just write it over here. Here as well I will write, and the last here I am going to write, okay? Now let us see how many columns we have. So this is our first column, right? Where we have this, the 1, 4 is there. This is our first column. So I will write here 1, okay? After that, what do we have? This is our second column, correct? And then we have here, this is our third column. So I will just write here 3, and this is our fourth column, correct? So I will just write here what? 4. So we have how many columns? 4 columns. I'll write here false. And who is going to control this? It is going to be controlled by our J loop. Okay, so that is what I'm just going to write it over here. Now, after this, we are going to see the printing as well. In this particular rows, what we have, okay? So we are going to see here that here in the beginning, we have some spaces, right? So if you see there is one space, two space, three space, and then we have one printed here, okay? So I will just write here what, how many values we have in the first row? We have one value printed here, right? And after that, what do we have here as well? We have three spaces here, right? So that is what I will write it over here. So we have three spaces, and then we have here our one printed. So I'm just writing we have one value printed along with the three spaces. Okay. Now, if you come to the second one, how many spaces is there? This is the first space, second space, and two values are printed, right? So we will come here and we will write here what? Here print two values. That means two values are printed. And how many spaces are printed? Two spaces are printed, right? That we have checked just now. So I will write here what? Two spaces, okay? After that, in this particular row, how many space? Just one space, and here three values, right? So that is what I will write it over here. Print three values, okay? And how many spaces? One space, correct? So we will write here what? Print one space, okay? Now we will come down and we will see here how many values and how many spaces. Now here we don't have any spaces, right? But we have here what? Four values. So I will write here what? Print four values, okay? Now, how many spaces? Zero spaces. So I will just write here what? Print zero space, okay? That is what we have, okay? Now, if you see here one more thing, what we are printing here, in each row, whatever the value is getting printed, it is with respect to what? Our I value. If it is 1, then it is printed 1. If our I value is 2, it is printed 2, right? If our I value is 3, it is printing 3. And if our I value is 4, it is printing 4. So what it is printing at the end of the day? It is printing our I value itself at all the places, correct? Along with the spaces, what do we have? We have just here what? Our I value getting printed along with the spaces, correct? So that is what we have observed, and we have written everything from this particular pattern, okay? Now what we will do, we will come down and we are just going to see where this loop is going to start and end, okay? So I will write here what? Our I loop. We will write here what? Then J loop, okay? And we will come here and I'm going to write here what? Start hyphen. And I will write here what? End hyphen. Here as well, I'm going to write what? Start hyphen. And here I'm going to write what? End hyphen, okay? Now let us see where it is going to start and end, okay? So if we see here, our I loop is going to start at where? 1. And where it is going to end? It is going to end at 4, right? This is what we have written. So I will just write here what? 1 here and 4 here. And we will assume that the last row, whatever will be there, we are storing it inside an n variable. So I will write here what? N is equal to 4. That means total number of rows, okay? Now we will come here and we will see for our J loop also. We know that it is starting at 1 and it is ending at 4. So I will just write here what? 1, and I will write here what? 4, and here as well n is equal to 4, okay? Now let us see in the for loop structure how we are going to write. So I will write here what? I is equal to what? It will be 1, okay? And here what we are going to write? I less than or is equal to n and I plus plus, okay? Then we will come here and we are going to write here what? J is equal to 1. J is less than or is equal to n and j plus plus, okay? Now, if we see carefully, this J loop is going to help us to print our output, right? So I will write here what? It is going to print the output. But here printing is just not the values, correct? Here printing is what? The spaces as well as our value. So we will have to print here conditionally. So I will just write here what? It is going to print conditionally what? It is going to print conditionally our spaces plus the value as well, right? So that is what I am writing it over here. Now we will have to see what is the condition we are going to write inside our J loop for that particular printing, okay? So what we are going to write here, we will be writing the condition as what? Our J is less than or is equal to n minus I. That is what is the condition we are going to write, okay? So now if this turns out to be true, then we will print our spacing, okay? And if it turns out to be false, that means F I will write, then here what we are going to print, we will be printing our I value, correct? We have to print I value. So we will be printing here in this case our I value, okay? Now for the instance, I will just substitute for the one time and the rest of the working we are going to see down, okay? So I will just see right here what I is equal to 1, okay? And here I am going to write what j is equal to 1. Now in the first case, I will be 1, j will be 1 because our I loop is starting at 1 and our j loop is going to start at 1. And with this respect to the condition, it has to be true and it is going to enter inside our j loop, okay? So now we will just test the condition which we have written here. So what is our j value? It is nothing but 1. Less than is equal to what is our n value? It is 4. Then minus of I. That means what will be our I value? 1, correct? So in this case, what we are going to get? We are going to get 3. So at the end of the day, we have to compare here what 1 is less than or is equal to 3. Now this condition is turning out to be what? 1 is less than or is equal to 3. So if you check, it is less than 3. So this condition is true, right? And therefore, we will get here what? 1 space. So in the beginning, we are going to get here 1 space. After that, if we are going to continue it, we are going to get here what? All the spaces and the value with respect to this particular condition itself, okay? So that we are going to see later on here itself in the working, okay? Now, after this, what we will do? We will write our for loop structure also. So let us write here what? For. And then I will write here what? Let I is equal to 1. I is less than or is equal to n and I plus plus, correct? This will be our I loop. Now inside this, what we are going to do? We are going to write our j loop. So I will write here what? For let j is equal to 1. J is less than or is equal to n and j plus plus, okay? Then flower braces. Now here direct printing is not there, okay? So what do we have here? We have to write here our condition. With respect to that, we are going to get our spaces first and then our value, okay? So I will write here what? If j is less than or is equal to n minus of I. And if this is the case, then here we are going to do what? We are going to print here, or we can say we are going to concatenate here what? Our space, where we are going to concatenate to the str variable, okay? So we will write here what? Str plus is equal to double quotes, and inside that we will put 1 space, okay? So this will what do? It is going to add the space inside our str variable, okay? And if this condition turns out to be false, then what we are going to do? We are going to here as well concatenate, okay? So what we will be concatenating? We are going to concatenate our I value where? To our str variable. So we will write here what? Str plus is equal to our I, okay? And once this entire loop, that means our for loop is completed, we are going to print our value. But before that, what we have to do? We have to make sure that after each of the execution, we have to bring our cursor to our next line, right? So for that, what we will do? When our j loop is ending, after this line, what we are going to do? After this line, we are just going to concatenate here our next line also. So for that, I will write here what? Str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n, okay? So once this is written, it will take our cursor every time to the next line. And after that, once our entire execution is completed, we are just going to print here what? Our str variable, okay? That is what we are going to do. Now, since we have understood the structure, let us understand the working also, how we are going to do. So I will just write here what? Working. So we will go above and we will just take this what? I is equal to 1, I is less than or is equal to n and I plus plus, okay? And we are just going to put it over here. After that, what we will do? We will substitute the values inside this, okay? So I is equal to 1. So we will put here 1. And what is our n value? It is nothing but 4, right? So 1 is less than or is equal to 4. This is our condition. Now, if we test the condition 1 is less than 4, right? Therefore, it is going to be true. And since it is true, it is going to execute our J loop, okay? So I will just take this and we are just going to put it down, okay? Now let us come here and we will just put it over here and we are going to substitute the values now. J is what? 1. What is our n? It is nothing but 4, right? Now if we test the condition 1 is less than 4. So it will be what? True. And since it is true, then it is going to do what? It is going to execute our if condition, right? So let us take this if condition from here and I will just write it over here, okay? So I'm just going to write it over here and then we are going to substitute the values down, okay? So I'll write it here as well now. And now substitute the value. So J is what right now? 1, correct? Less than or is equal to 4 minus I. That means 4 minus 1, correct? So now what we are going to get? We are going to get here 3. That means 1 is less than or is equal to 3. It is true, right? So if it is true, then what we have to print, or we can say what we have to concatenate, we have to concatenate here a space, right? So I will just write here what we are going to add here one space, okay? So that is what we are going to do. After that, what it is going to happen? Our J value is going to increase, right? So I will just write here what J is equal to 2, correct? Now 2 is less than or is equal to 4. Yes, 2 is less. Therefore, it will be true. And here our if condition is going to execute now. So this will be what? 2, and this is going to remain the same because I value and n value is not going to change for this particular instance, okay? So now 2 is less than or is equal to 3. Yes, 2 is less. Therefore, it is true and it is going to give us what? One more space, okay? After that, J value is again going to increase. So I will write here what? J is equal to 3 and here it will be what? 3 is less than or is equal to 4. Now 3 is less than 4. Therefore, it is going to be true and now it is going to execute our if condition. So here we will write what? 3 is less than or is equal to 3. 3 is not less than 3, but 3 is equal to 3, right? And that is why it will be what? True. And we are going to get here what? One more space, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is going to increase, right? So I will write here what? J is equal to what? 4. And here will be what? 4 is less than is equal to 4. Now 4 is not less than 4, but it is equal to 4. Therefore, it will be true here and it is going to execute our if condition, correct? So here we will write what? 4 is less than or is equal to, it will be 3. Now if you see here, now here the condition turns out to be what? False, because 4 is not less than 3, 4 is not is equal to 3. And therefore here we will have what? Our I value, that is nothing but our 1. After this, what will happen? Our J value is going to increase. So we will write here what? J is equal to what? 5, okay? And now we are going to test what? 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now, if we test this, this turns out to be what? False, correct? Because 5 is not less than 4, not it is equal to 4. So, therefore, here it is going to be failing our condition and it is going to terminate our loop. And inside our str variable, what it is going to have? It is going to have 3 spaces here. And after that, it is going to have here what? 1. That is what we have done here. Now, if you go above and check, we should have here what? 3 spaces and our I value, that is nothing but 1. So, successfully we have got this, okay? Now, after that, what will happen? Our I value is again going to increase, right? After this, so we will come here and we will just write here what? Our I is equal to 2 and it will be what? 2 is less than or is equal to 4 and I plus plus, okay? Now we will go to our J loop. Why? Because 2 is less than 4, right? And this condition is going to be true. Now we will take from here as well because J is going to start from where? It is going to start from 1. So J is equal to 1. 1 is less than or is equal to 4. It will be what? True, right? We know. Now here, what is our I value? It is nothing but 2. So we will have here what? 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay. So 1 is less than or is equal to 2. It is less. So it will be true. And therefore we are going to get here what? 1 space. Okay. After that, what will happen? Our j value is going to increase and it will become what? 2. So j is equal to 2. 2 is less than or is equal to 4 now. So if we test this condition, 2 is less than 4. So it will be what? True, right? And therefore it is going to execute our if condition. So here we will have 2 is less than or is equal to 2. 2 is not less than 2, but 2 is equal to 2. Therefore we will get here true and one more space will be added, okay? So after this, what will happen? It is going to increase our j value, right? So I will write here what? J is equal to 3. 3 is less than or is equal to 4. 3 is less than 4, right? Therefore, this condition is going to be true. And here we will have what? 3 is less than or is equal to 2. Now, here if we see, the condition is going to fail because 3 is not less than 2 nor it is equal to 2, right? So we will write here what? False. And here we are going to get now our I value, that is nothing but our 2, okay? After that, what will happen? Our j value is going to increase, right? Again. So j is equal to 4. Now here we will have what? 4 is less than or is equal to 4, correct? Now 4 is equal to 4. Therefore, it is going to be true. And here we will have what? 4 is less than or is equal to 2. Now here as well, this condition is false, right? So therefore, we are going to get here what? 2 itself, correct? Now after this, what will happen? J value is again going to increase. So j will become what? 5, right? So we will write here what? J is equal to 5 and 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now j value is increased to 5, but here the condition is failing, right? So if we see, 5 is not less than 4, not it is equal to 4, correct? So we will have here what? False. And therefore here itself our loop is going to what? Terminate, correct? And in this str variable, then we will have here what? It is going to concatenate 2 space, okay? And then our I value 2 times, right? That is nothing but 2 times 2. So if you see here, that is what we have. 2 spaces and we have to print here 2 values of our I, that is nothing but 2 times 2. So that is what we are getting it here and we have done the same, okay? Now after this, what it is going to happen? Our I value is again going to increase. So we are going to write here what? Our I is equal to 3 and here it will be what? 3 is less than or is equal to 4 and I plus plus, okay? Now 3 is less than 4, therefore the condition is true and it is going to execute our j loop, okay? So I will just take it from here and I'm going to put it over here because j is going to start at 1, right? So I will write here what? J is equal to 1 and we have to test this condition. 1 is less than or is equal to 4 and it is going to be true because 1 is less than 4. Now here the condition will be what? 1 less than 4 minus 3, okay? Now here we will have what? 1, correct? So now 4 minus 3 is what? 1. And if we test the condition 1 is less than or is equal to 1, it is not less, but it is equals to 1. Therefore, we will get here what? True, and we will get here what? 1 spacing, okay? After that, we will come down and what we will do, we are going to increase our j value, right? Because it is going to increment. So j is equal to 2. 2 is less than or is equal to 4. This condition is true, right? And therefore, it is going to execute our if condition. So here we will have what? 2 is less than or is equal to 1. Now 2 is not less than 1, not it is equal to 1. So therefore we will have here what? False. And here we are going to print our I value, that is nothing but our 3, okay? After that, our j value is again going to increase. So we will write here what? J is equal to 3. 3 is less than or is equal to 4. Now 3 is less than 4. So therefore this will be true, right? And after that we will write here what? 3 is less than or is equal to 1. Now 3 is not less than 1, not it is equal to 1. So here also it is going to fail and therefore we are going to print here what? Our I value, that is nothing but 3, okay? After this, again our j value is going to increase to 4. So we will write here what? J is equal to 4. 4 is less than or is equal to 4. So now if we test the condition, 4 is less than or is equal to 4. 4 is equal to 4. Therefore, it is going going to be true. And now it has to be executed our if condition. So we will have here what? 4 is less than or is equal to 1. Here also it is going to fail, and therefore we will have here what? 3 again. That is nothing but our I value. Okay. After that, what will happen? Our J loop value is going to again increase. So it will be what? It will be 5. So I will write here what? J is equal to 5 and 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now here 5 is not less than 4, not it is equal to 4. So therefore it is going to fail here and our loop is going to terminate now. So I will write here what? Termination is going to happen, and in our str variable, finally it is going to concatenate how many spaces? 1 space and then 3 times 3. Okay. So this is what we are going to get when I is equal to 3. Let us see above what we are getting here. So if we see when I is equal to 3, we are getting here what? 3 times our I value. That is what we have written, print 3 values and 1 space. And here we have written what? I value. So that is what we have got here as well. 1 space and 3 times 3. So if we go down, we have got the exact output here as well, right? Now after that, what will happen? Our I value is again going to increase, right? So we will come down and we are going to write here what? Our I is equal to 4, correct? And we will have here what? 4 is less than or is equal to 4. Now, if it tests the condition 4 is equal to 4, correct? Therefore, this condition is going to be true and it is going to start executing our J loop, right? So we will just write here what? J is equal to 1. 1 is less than or is equal to 4. It is going to be true, right? And then it is going to execute our if condition block as well. So 1 is less than or is equal to what we are going to write here? 4, correct? So 4 minus 4 is what? 0. So 1 is less than 0? No. 1 is equal to 0? No. Therefore, it is going to be turned out as what? False. And we will print here what? Our I value, that is nothing but our 4, okay? After that, what we are going to do? We are going to increase our J value, right? So we will have here what? J is equal to 2. Correct. And here we will have 2 is less than or is equal to 4. Now we know that this condition is true, correct? And here we are going to write what? 2 is less than or is equal to 0. Now we know that 2 is not less than 0, not it is equal to 0. Therefore it will be false and we will get here what? Our I value, that is nothing but 4. Okay. After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So J is equal to 3. 3 is less than or is equal to 4. This condition is true, right? And therefore, it is going to execute our if condition also. So 3 is less than or is equal to 0. This condition is also false. And we will have here what? Our 4 again printed. After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So J is equal to 4. And here we are going to write what? 4 is less than is equal to 4. Now, this condition is true because 4 is equal to 4, correct? And therefore it is going to execute our if condition also. Now we will write here what? 4 is less than or is equal to 0. So this condition is going to be what? False. And therefore we are going to print here what? Our 4 itself. That means our I value. Now after that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So we will have here what? J is equal to 5. And here we are going to write what? 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now here the condition is going to fail, correct? Because 5 is not less than 4, nor it is equal to 4. So therefore it is going to fail and here our loop is going to terminate, okay? And inside this our str variable, we are going to get what? 4 times 4. So that is what I am just going to write it over here. Now let us go above and test. When I is equal to 4, what we are getting? When I is equal to 4, we have to print what? 4 values, no spaces. And all will be what? Our I value. So that is what we are getting here, the exact thing, right? If we go down, we can see we have got our exact thing. After that, what will happen? Our I value is again going to increase. So it will become what? 5. So I will write here what? I is equal to 5. 5 is less than or is equal to 4. Now, if we test the condition, 5 is not less than 4, nor it is equal to 4. Therefore, the condition is going to fail. And here it will be the termination. That means it is going to be the end of our I loop as well. Okay. So that is what we are going to write it here. And once the loop is going to terminate, we are going to print our str value. Okay. Now we have understood here, if we see from top to bottom, we have understood how many rows, how many columns, start and end point. Conditionally, it is going to print the for loop structure and the working as well, correct? Now we will come down and we are going to write the same thing inside our function, because it was been asked that we have to write a JavaScript function to print that pattern, correct? So first we will come here and we are just going to open our new terminal, okay? So we will have our terminal to the right and we will write our function in our left, okay? So let us come here and we are going to write here what function, and we will write here what print pattern parenthesis flower braces, and we are just going to invoke it print pattern, and we are going to pass here 4 as an argument, and we will receive here what n as in parameter. Okay. Now let us just console here console.log of n I am going to do, and we will just test it in the terminal. Okay. So I will write here what node 11 pattern.js and I will hit enter. If we see, we are getting here our exact output. So whatever the value we are passing here, it is able to receive and it is able to give me the output. After that, what we will do, we will declare here our str variable for holding our output, okay, with an empty string, okay. Now let us write our nested loop. So I will write here what for let I is equal to 1, I is less than or is equal to n and I plus plus, and then flower braces, then our j loop. So for let j is equal to 1, j is less than or is equal to n and j plus plus, okay. Then flower braces, and now here we are going to write our conditional statement, okay. So here what we are going to write, if, then we will write here what j is less than or is equal to n minus I, and if this condition turns out to be true, then we have to concatenate what space, correct? So I will write here what str plus is equal to, we are going to concatenate the space, and if it turns out to be false, then what we are going to do, we are going to concatenate our I value. That is what I will just write it directly like this. And once our j loop is completed, we have to take our cursor to the next line. So here we are going to add that particular next line. Before that, I will just come here outside the loop and I'm just going to print our str variable also. So I will write here what console.log of str. Let us see what do we get. So I will write here what node 11 pattern.js. If we see, we are getting here 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. Along with the spaces we are getting, but it is not going to the next line. So now we will come here and we will write here what str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n. And now let us run it one more time. So we will write here what node 11 pattern.js and we are going to get our exact output. Okay. Now here we will not be using our trim method. Why? I will show you. Okay, so if I use my trim method, why we use the trim method? Because we have the additional spaces, correct? So now let us use this. Okay, so I will just come here and I'm going to write node 11 pattern.js. Now, if we see, the space has been removed from the last also and from the beginning as well. So that is why it is disturbing the pattern. So therefore, we are not going to use directly the trim method, but we will be using here what trim end method. Okay, now let us see what it is going to do. So I will write here what node 11 pattern.js, and if we hit enter, see, only from the end the space has been removed, from the beginning the space is as it is. So therefore, for this particular question, we are going to use here what trim end. Okay, we will just comment our line number 79 here. Okay, and we are going to clear the terminal and we are going to rerun our code. Okay, so I will write here what node 11 pattern.js, and if we hit the enter, we are getting the exact output. Let us go and check from the top. If we see, this is the exact output which it was being expected from us. Okay, now let us have a quick recap of this particular question. So we have to write here what a JavaScript function to print the following pattern, and this was our pattern, right? After that, we wrote here what important chunks of this particular question, and we defined here what our print pattern as a function name. Then our print pattern will be what? It is going to be what? Our right angle triangle aligned to the right, and it is going to print our row numbers, right? Then after that, we wrote here what our approach, wherein we wrote here what we have to create an str variable, which is going to hold our final output. And after that, we declared here our str variable. Then we wrote here our nested loop. And here in this, it is going to be there what? How many loops? Only two loops. That means outer and inner loop. Our outer loop will be what? Our I loop, and our inner loop will be what? Our j loop. Okay. After that, what we did, we came down and we analyzed how many rows and columns we have, what are the values it is going to print, how many values we have, how many spaces we have, and which value has been printed in the particular pattern, right? So it is printing I value, correct? After that, we wrote here where our I loop and j loop is going to start and end, and how in the structure it is going to be written, right? And here we also understood that our j loop is going to print the following output, and that is where we will have to conditionally print. Why conditionally? Because we need here what? Both spaces and the value, right? And we also understood here that what will be the condition, and we tested for the first instance where I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 1, correct? And then we came down and we wrote our for loop structure here, right? So this is what we have written here. Our nested loop we have written, then our if condition we wrote, and if this condition turns out to be true, we are going to concatenate space to the str variable, okay? And if this condition turns out to be false, then we are going to concatenate what? I value to our str variable, okay? Now, since we want after every execution of our J loop, the cursor should come down, right? So therefore, we have done here what? After J loop, we are going to write here what? We are going to put here backward slash of n, so that our cursor come down and it is going to go down and print the following pattern one after the another, okay? And once the entire loop is completed, we are just going to print our str variable to get our final output. Then we understood the working as well, line by line, what it is going to happen from I is equal to 1 to I is equal to 5, correct? So when I is equal to 5, it is going to terminate and it will be the end of our loop, correct? And we understood here each section wise how our J loop is going to run and how the condition is going to be executed, right? And we tallied with our pattern as well, correct? So that is what we did. Then after that, we came down and we wrote the same thing inside our function, where we wrote here what function? Print pattern, and we have taken here n as in parameter, right? After that, we consoled our n just to test the function, and after that, we declared here our str variable with an empty quotes. Then we wrote here what? Our for loop structure, correct? Inside that, we wrote our if condition also properly, and after our J loop execution, we are going to add here backward slash of n, so that it can give us what in the next line, right? And here at line number 91, what we did, we consoled our str variable, but with using a trim end method. Why trim end method? Because we have to just remove the spacing from the end, right? Then we finally invoked here print pattern, and we were passing here 4 as an argument, right? So our entire function was working with respect to this particular argument, right? Now let us come here and we are just going to test it one more time. So we will just open a new terminal here and we are going to write here what? Node, correct? And then we will write 11 pattern.js. And if we see now here, we are going to get our exact output. That is what was needed, right? And if you go above and check, it is the same pattern. So we have successfully achieved our pattern which was been asked to us, okay? Now guys, what I want is please try this particular question, and after that try experimenting out with different values of n, and let me know your results in the comments. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more programming tutorials, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, keep coding, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.